I need to take care of the duplicates since everything is on that needs to go on. So that's what I've got left in terms of clips. We'll go through this next. But I found buried underneath here this box lid. And lo and behold, we weren't missing the rear hatch area's stainless screws. Got plenty of them. What else did I find in here? I'm not sure exactly what these gaskets go to. It looks like an AC surround. There was also some other clips in here. This cap goes over the steering box adjusting. Some stops. So I just need to remember that this is here. I think I also found, yeah, this screw here. This attaches the front belt line strip to the trunk lid. And then I found some other plug pieces, and they're in the can with the clips. But for now, it's time to make the extra pieces go away. I'm emptying the trunk out. A couple of things I can install are the wiper blades. And I made sure that the posts are in the park position. So we'll put those on now. Trunk's cleaned out. Spare tires in there. Retained. There's a jack behind there. Also, there is a lug wrench and a spare 3/4 inch socket with a breaker bar for the lug nuts that are holding the Nissan wheels on. And got a couple of spare fan belts, and underneath there is a baggie with 4 standard lug nuts in it to retain the spare tire. Wiper blades are on. New carpet is getting pliable in the sunshine. I guess we'll figure out how to install it here. Easy enough to, I say easy enough to start with the front. That's the one where you have to cut the hole for the throttle pedal. Back here you just have to remove the recently installed seat belts. Oh well. The rear carpeting is in place. I had to take up all of the front seat belts because the holes where they mount are covered. Got it centered side to side, and I have it front to back so that this seam between the vinyl and the carpet is right up against the edge of this beam that goes across. So the next thing I'll do is go ahead and install these. Well, I got them out, so we'll get them in. I'll fight with that next. And I was able to slide that underneath those edges. Got the screws started in there. Now I'm going to tilt the front seat on its back and drag it rearward so that I can now install the front carpet. I have to say, I really do miss the fact that there's only 2 pedals and not 3. I really wish that this had a 4-speed in it, but it doesn't. Anyway, first thing to do for the front carpet install is to remove the throttle pedal. There is a nut right on the end there, and that comes off, and then you have to tap the thing off the shelf. You have to tap the pedal off of the shaft. The pedal's out. One of the things I did before I popped it off was I measured from the upper tip straight across to the firewall, and got a measurement of 5¼ inches. You can see here the back of the pedal. There are serrations in the holes. And there's the nut. Carpet's in, it's centered. The trimmed off piece is against the face of this beam that runs side to side. In addition to cutting a hole for the shaft of the throttle pedal, there also is a need to cut a slot hole here for the high beam. I need to deal with the seat bracket on both sides. I believe that's the 4 main cuts that have to be made. Not thrilled with having to cut this brand new carpet, but that's just the way it goes. So the hole was cut. I also removed a little bit of padding from behind there because it was just in the way. And then I've got the dimmer switch in place. I'm going to try to get that carpet to lay down a little flatter where the hole was cut. One of the trickier things about installing this, which I've fought before, is that the shaft that the pedal goes over and that nut spins on the end of will slide away from you. So you don't have a lot of clearance because of the carpet, and it really wants to bind up and push the shaft in as you're trying to shove the pedal onto the shaft. So pull it out all the way. I kind of pulled the carpet a little bit towards that way, and then let the carpet feed with the pedal into position. As soon as you get that nut on, you're home free, because now you can just turn the nut and it will pull the pedal into place. Next thing I'll do is, again, measure that. It'll be less than 5¼ because of the thickness of the carpet, but we'll take it down to like 5 inches. All right, that's gonna be as good as I can get it. Okay, let's figure out what to do here. I have the option of, I don't know what I have the option of. Not had to deal with this. I thought that was kind of interesting. I am missing, I need to do a little more digging for the cardboard panels that fit in these footwell area. And kick panels, maybe. Need to find those. I do have the grates that fit over the heater. This one here, yeah, I believe goes the other side. I'm going to clean them and install them. But first of all, we should get the seats in. I cut out from there and from there so that the feet of, or the front feet of the seat got a place to go. So I didn't leave anything because the fit across here is pretty tight. So there wouldn't have been enough to accommodate the thickness of the carpet. It was just better to cut the little rectangles away. All right, the seat's in place, shoved all the way forward. Now I just need to get a hole to line up with a screw hole up there. I've got an awl. We'll see if we can get lucky. Well, that was fun. Seats are now in. Let's move on to the last threshold piece on this side, same on the other side, and then we'll tackle the seat belts. Well, doesn't that look nice? I think I need to tighten the screws there, but it's in. The last bit of cutting that needs to be done is through the vinyl for those two clips, and they will go right into that slot. So fortunately it's just cutting the vinyl there and then over there and dropping the seats in, and they'll hold that carpet strip there. Rear seat in, front seat in. We still have to deal with the seat belt ends, which we're moving on to now. So out comes the awl again. So for the big screws, bolts, whatever, that have to go through the thick carpeting here, I found the hole from the outside, stuck the awl through to mark the position. There, you can see the awl poking through there now. That's the middle of the hole. I'm going to heat up the end of that Phillips screwdriver and then push the awl out with the hot tip of the screwdriver. That'll melt the fibers of the carpet. It will also melt through the base material. This will prevent the screw from digging up the fibers and pulling them through when I shove it through the hole. So with this one wire alternator, it has sat for many, many, many years, and it needs to be excited. That means we need to put some electricity into the stator, I guess, in order to give it magnetism again. So I've clipped a lead onto the lower of the two leads terminals that are coming out of the side of the body here. They're normally not connected to anything. The other side, I'm just going to give a few touches to the positive, and that is supposed to energize it. So it may need to be running in order for that to work, so the next thing I'll do is unclip all of the charging that was going on here and turn the car on. But before I do that, I want to talk a bit about dwell. So with the car running now, my dwell on the dwell meter, and it's not on now, but it's around 20 degrees. And according to the manual, that should be between 32 and 36. They also say that the point gap should be around 16 thousandths of an inch. And I have set it at that, and when I come read my dwell meter, the dwell only comes up at about 12 degrees. So either there's an issue with the dwell meter or there is an issue with the distributor. I am going to take this dwell meter out to Scarlett, the 64 Corvair convertible, and see what dwell reading I get on that car, which has been running great. But first of all, let's go back and reset the points at 16 before we even turn it on again. All right, with the 3/4 wrench stuck on the main crankshaft pulley bolt, I rotated it until the point of the distributor shaft there, this is kind of a cam, the top of the cam was right up against the rubbing block and maximizing the opening of the point gap. So I have the .016 feeler gauge out, it's too close. So it should fit a little, with a little bit of a looseness, but still rubbing. Alright, so that feels just the slightest amount of rubbing. So let's turn the engine on and see what we get for a dwell after I put the dust cover, the rotor back on, then the distributor cap back on. And once we turn the car on, we'll go ahead and excite that terminal there. Looks like it's a bad dwell meter. This one is reading 16. And again, it's been running great. Guess it's time to invest in another dwell meter. This, by the way, is the 64. Alright, I tried exciting that thing. I just must not be exciting enough for it, or it's broken. Regardless, I'm going to take it off and take it somewhere and see if they can tell me if it's bad or not before I spend the 40 bucks on another one. So the first thing to do to take off the alternator is remove the fan belt and remove the leads going to it. So I will do that. Then there are two bolts that access through this way, and I will work on those next. Got back the rebuilt alternator. Very pretty. It's going to go into its slot. Got the bolts, screws over there to do it with. Then I will hook up the battery, mount the fan belt, and before I start the engine though, I do want to address the fact that in the back here, and I'll bring you back when I've got that out of the way. So this piece of ducting allows the fan air underneath the cover to get blown into the heater box where it can mix. There's a valve that's currently closed back in there. Instead of putting in a new hose and whatever fitting that is, I'm going to remove this because you don't want to lose any air out of this volume, and there's no need to mix air that's running around the engine up in here. So I'll remove this, cut a plate that matches the profile, and then RTV both sides, and then put it back on as a cap. Or maybe I'll just put on the plate. We'll see. I'm going to hacked out this plate with a pair of tin snips from some pretty thin metal. Doesn't need to be thick. This provides all the stiffness. So I'll put some, once I make sure that, yeah, that's the correct side, RTV along the perimeter there, and then put them down, 3 screws, and we'll have that air leak plugged.